accept?
I will.
Second,
Second.
all those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Next up, the joint minute meetings from last week.
Meeting minutes.
That'd be fun with all of us tonight, we're tired.
Any discussion? Do I have a motion to accept? Second,
I will second.
all those in favor say aye.
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 Did you have a thing, Roxy? Now that we've
No, we're good.
She sent a little comment.
Yeah.
Corrected.
Yes, she
something.
did. Thank you
Yes,
very
thank
much.
you very much.
I appreciate it. The recording didn't come out very well either. Their speaker is not. Thank you.
Okay, first up, revised police budget.
So we are revising the vehicle maintenance line item because we have a cruiser with a motor blown down at a dealership. We're trying to get it warranted, but if they don't cover, it's gonna cost us $8,000. So it has been segregated just for that. They know that if they can't spend that money on anything else, they can't overspend their budget up to the bottom line. It is strictly for that motor.
Which cruiser was it? Is it an old one or a new one?
2019.
Yeah.
And we can't guarantee we can get a cruiser right now, so we're kind of up against it.
Mhm.
Because
They
we
did
still
just
have
have
one
to-
more to be delivered, right?
It's sitting at Ossipee,
Okay.
but that's not part of these.
Didn't they just had that transmission rebuilt and that was covered under warranty. And they had it not very long after and something went wrong with the engine, so.
Same one?
Yes.
Same cruiser, yeah, so I think.
So we're trying to,
That was tied to
Is this one of the police cars? Or
one of the chargers.
one of the Chargers?
yeah. So it came back, it wasn't back. I don't know if it was back a week.
Yeah,
And it's the detective's car, so it's not like it's a patrol car, it's not like it's heavily used or pursued, and he was up by Arnold's, and so while the motor was being, the transmission was being changed, we were told that we needed to replace all these sensors too. The sensors weren't covered by warranty, but the transmission was, so we did it. And a week later, the motor went, so we think it's pretty ironic, so we're kind of disputing it right now, but I don't know where we're gonna fall with that. And then we talked about, does it make sense
right,
if we're gonna have a new cruiser in 2024, but we're not guaranteed to get the cruisers for 2024. We had 3 of them coming this year.
and if we get the transmission fixed, we'll get better value as when we send it to the farm or trade it or whatever,
I
so.
think we talked about sending it to auction. Let's see if we-
Yeah.
I think we talked about sending it to the auction to see if we could.
Yeah.
Chargers people are hard after the chargers
Yeah.
for some reason. So we're hoping we'll get some,
We should hopefully be able to recoup that money.
recoup some of it anyways. So that's the only change there. Sewer budget is coming back, because of the operating expense, it's the lamprey, the sludge.
It was primarily.
It was
pumping.
primary sludge, and I might have to look at my notes, sorry.
Everything costs more.
It was the operating cost for the testing at Easton Analytical, and it was the sludge removal, and it was the pump station clogging for the lights coming in every time we had to call in an emergency call. So we were running too close and readjusted.
And the vehicle maintenance?
Vehicle maintenance is just because they overspent, and $1,000 doesn't get them anything for
Okay.
any of the repairs. And actually, that vehicle maintenance is used on her lawnmower, snow blower, it's crazy, minimal stuff, because she uses the highway trucks and
She, who's she?
Kathy.
We have a
Welch.
company
It's
that,
no relation, let's be clear.
right, we have a company Welch's that does, that
Oh, right.
runs the
Yeah.
sewer
I was like,
facility,
we have a
and we are
woman
just
on
like
the-
their backup when they're
We
not
actually, yeah, she's,
I was thinking it was
She's
not
amazing.
employees, and I was like, what?
here.
Okay, any more discussion on the revised sewer budget? Next up, the budget worksheet.
Reminder, if you guys put the agenda button, it makes it the whole screen. It's easier to read.
so this is the selectmen's working worksheet. It is not finalized because we have, some December expenses that just came in today. And we still are waiting for, of course, the offset in revenue hasn't come in from Lincoln yet. But this will give you a pretty good feel for where you're heading. It's not gonna change much. If you see, the only thing that will be different once I get to the MS 737 is where I have lines that say in red that say encumbered for News Journal, the encumbered money. It will actually show once I get there that we've overspent that line, and you will not see that on the revenue side because it happens as a journal entry at the end of the year behind the scenes. That's just letting you know that we encumbered from funds from a prior year.
And we are voting next week, so
Mhm.
it won't be a short one.
The capital reserves in red on page 5 and 6. These are, the first time you're seeing them, the selectmen, they don't come in on a budget, individual department budget, so the selectmen vote on them separately. So those are the only ones you haven't seen yet.
So the community center capital reserve for 5,000. Is that separate than the $50,000 line item that was discussed last week?
Mhm.
So what's the difference?
Well, I think for next year, Cheryl, we talked about asking, we want to move that 50,000 to a capital reserve.
Okay,
We talked about that, but for next year, because we've already kind of got that 50,000
allocated as a line
allocated
item.
as a line
Right.
item. But it's to talk to Lincoln prior to doing all of our joint budgets and say, listen, let's pull that 50 out of the operating. We're still gonna have to earmark
Yeah.
to projects like roofing or flooring or whatever, like they
Okay.
do when we put it in the operating budget, but to put it in a capital reserve instead. So then we can maybe get
How
some
much-
interest, or then we don't have to deal with encumbering money.
Like right now.
Like we
So
are.
would this be the start?
Paying.
Would this be the start of the community center capital reserve?
No,
No, this has been, this is.
What's in there?
Nice.
15,000. I think this was our third year putting 5,000 into it.
Yeah, this year we have 15,000, this one
Right.
20.
Right.
Haven't we encumbered the 50,000 for like 3 years now?
No, we encumbered 18,000. Last year we encumbered it last year too, didn't we? Or was that another
Yeah.
project?
Cause the airlock's been there for at least a couple of years, the project.
We've encumbered, one year we encumbered 13,000. I'd have to go back and
Yeah.
look for one project. And then this year we're encumbering for the
Airlocks.
airlock system, but maybe, did that not get done last year either?
It didn't, but what we encumbered last year, I thought was, the new doors.
That's what it was. Yes, that's
Has
what it
nothing to
was.
do with the concrete end?
That's this year.
Yeah.
Why
Yeah,
we're
that's what it
encumbering it,
is.
because the cost of the concrete went up.
Went up.
But the year before that, we had encumbered for the new garage overhead door fixing on the annex.
Yes,
Yes,
we
what do you
moved
call
this.
it?
And make sure that they give us kind of like what you see from the fire department or the highway. And it's earmarked, it will be much easier.
Yeah, that way there we don't have to encumber money every year. when a project comes under budget or.
As long as it's specified that it's not, say,
And the sewer, 440,
that is
Thousand?
just, that's the operating budget separate from the capital reserves. The only reason that is in red is because I changed the numbers for them at their meeting.
okay,
When I just presented them the revised budget. You'll see I did up here at the police at 38,000 too. It's really, was just letting them know I changed something.
and what would typically be spent for the Main Street revitalization? Not like the hanging posters or something?
It's,
The
yes, it's.
Flags,
It can be the flags, it can be parks. Which. Our flags we're redoing our banners this year.
Oh, good.
and what do we
They
got
need to,
for
a lot of them when they came down, like, that's gotta be a. Kind of an as soon as possible thing.
Yeah.
Because
When
they
is
were
the
destroyed. What's that?
When is the revale up?
2025. Let's hope we plateau before it gets here.
And what did you find out? We had the conversation about, northern borders. Cause I see you put the Lost River Road.
That is, you're gonna see it as an expense,
Okay.
and then it'll be up to the auditors and I to
Right.
adjust behind. We will, well, no, it won't be there, but we will adjust and bring money in from our surplus, our unassigned fund balance,
For now.
right? Because you can't, I have to show that I've expensed money, and it
Right.
will show like it's overexpended. And you will not see the money coming in on the revenue side, because it's it's unanticipated money, and anytime that you accept unanticipated money under RSA 30. Don't quote me tonight, I can't,
Mhm.
but anyways, and
Mhm.
that you, have a public hearing to accept those funds as unanticipated, you cannot account for them on the revenue side of things, so.
Right.
But you do have to show the expense, so it's very misleading to everybody, because they don't get to see the whole picture back on the state forms when they come out.
How are we doing on sidewalks? We still-
We're moving to in front of, we're stopped at South Main Street right now because we're hoping that the state comes through and redoes there's plans to redo the lights at the intersection. We just can't get them to commit, and when they do that, there'll be an impact to our sidewalks, so they'll do the handicap accessible part of it. And then we will just pick up the space in between. So we're leaving what's left by the wall, and plus we have plans to replace the wall. We're starting to put money aside. So we are moving to over by, like Anna Malloy or Andy Sukowski's house. And then we have a section, we're going up Paradise Road, we have to fix. And then we're gonna start heading towards Lincoln,
It's just every year we just attack a different sidewalk.
just attack a different section, we try to keep the funds the
Yeah.
same, and. When we go to Lincoln, it won't be as bad, because it's pretty much just like a top coat. But the others.
So the budget over last year is actually down 10%. Is that what I'm reading? On the bottom,
Yes, but you
but it's
also,
more than what we spent.
say that again?
This year's budget
Mhm.
is lower than last year's budget, but it's more than what we actually spent.
Yes, but you'll also gotta remember that if you look off to the side, you're returning about, I think it's like $100,000 in police payroll. Which also impacted your personnel administration line items. The highway wasn't fully staffed. You also, it's very misleading when you look at the, pump truck, we appropriated $509,000 because we have to. But we don't expend that money, so you can. Let's see what else. Highway garage,
The Yeah, on the highway garage, yeah.
we kind of moved over to a capital reserve.
Why is the capital reserve for the water department capital improvement so big?
Is that the 100,000?
It's 220,000.
Because $100,000 is coming in from unassigned fund balance, so your capital reserve appropriation is actually 120,000. And then you have another warrant article behind it that is 100,000 to bring from the unassigned fund balance to the capital reserve.
So then
And you're
your
gonna start
profit.
seeing these things on your MS 737. You know, this is just the worksheet. Once you get to the 737, some of this will all,
And we vote on the MS 37.
yeah, this is just kind of to give you.
Any other questions about the budget worksheet?
And if you think, you know, before we're going into next week, if you come up with questions, just email me.
Okay,
So the bottom line budget is at the 5,492,000.
492.
Okay,
Before.
we don't
Right.
see the revenues until we look at the 737.
Right.
You're gonna get a kind of a feel for them, but you're missing a month.
Yeah.
I have a draft over here, and these are also gonna, you know, these will also go through. So this week, when I'm done, before I come before you next week, this is gonna go through legal, this is gonna go through New Hampshire Department of Revenue, this is gonna go through the auditors. And I'm gonna get their blessing, and then hopefully you guys vote.
Will you remind me again under conservation, what those office expenses are for $9,700?
That's to do with Merriam Woods, their kiosks, their,
Oh,
you know, their
Okay.
trail
I knew,
cams,
but I couldn't remember.
I forget what else.
That damn place is costing more money. Just a happy little piece of land for a while, and then all of a sudden it blew up.
I do have, if you go back, I think I scanned in, if you look back for your other meetings, under 4611, you'll see an attachment.
I knew that we had
There's
a
a bunch
reason,
of
I just
different
couldn't
stuff.
remember what it was.
I remember
Oh,
asking about
I
the
think
kiosk.
forestry too, they were gonna, you know, they're gonna hire a forester to go in there,
Yeah,
that was part of it, right?
Mhm. It should have a search feature on this. So you can like type in conservation budget.
Yeah.
just click on it, just ring to your channel. Yeah.
Everything.
Try to remember which- okay, was that the Thursday?
This, I've attached a draft of the warrant.
Moving on to the draft
Oh,
of the
sorry.
warrant.
No pressure, Roberta. I'm just kidding.
So we all need to look this over because we might catch spelling mistakes and whatnot.
Yes, and like if you guys can just take a look, like if I'm saying we're appropriating 31,200, if you can just read the wording to make sure that I haven't missed it, that would be great.
Ken on as the moderator again?
Yes.
Yes,
So obviously the operating budget number will change, right?
it could. This
Is that less of revenue?
as of right now.
Okay.
Look.
Can we abbreviate management so that it doesn't cut off the word fund? On Article 4. Says establish an emergency management capital reserve at.
That's good.
Well, mine doesn't.
Mine says fun.
Mine says
Mine says
fund.
that.
Mine says fun.
Mine says fund.
No, on in the line, in the bold.
Oh, the title.
Oh,
Yeah.
and also management is spelled wrong.
Oh, yeah,
Yeah,
good, see?
Good
Oh,
call.
Yeah.
Awesome. I will see, the capital reserve, the fund is usually put there, but I will see if I took it off the other one.
Agreement management.
Obviously,
So
there's
even-
capital reserve.
So,
Yeah.
can I ask a question on Article 3?
Sure.
So that 100,000, so even though we're just moving it from the capital reserve, you still need to raise and appropriate that money?
I do on both sides.
Okay.
DNR.
Mhm.
It's a washes, you're gonna see it come in on the go from fund to fund.
Article 5, the title, I don't understand that.
Yeah, the programs and program,
Yeah,
We shouldn't have that.
No.
and that's for what you were stating here.
It's
for
supposed to
that.
be programming, I think in the system, it says programming. So I'll just have to see
Okay.
if we can, I think it's getting cut off.
yeah, we can probably remove programs. And just do computer software and programming.
Oh, I see what you're saying. Okay.
Hmm.
I'll print it off this weekend.
Yeah, I honestly haven't had a chance myself to really sit down and prove it.
Proofread it.
No, just with the election and everything.
And Article 9,
Article 9.
the text reads 23,100.
Oh, see, yes, perfect.
And the
thank you.
dollar amount is 25,452.
Thank you. Let me just tell you what it's supposed to be. It's supposed to be the 25,452. No, that's awesome, thank you.
Article 16, it says raise and appropriate the sum of $50,000, but you have 6.5 in numbers.
Jesus, thank you.
Which one? is it?
I think it's
Yeah.
65.
65.
Yep, that's the correct one.
Okay.
We looked at these in the selections.
We were a little, I
Yeah,
think we finally said, I'll just take it home and look at it.
it's a
I
whirl,
haven't
it's
had
been a
chance.
whirlwind. And then my plan was to actually have us look through it before we came here, but it just didn't happen.
We were gonna do that yesterday.
Well, what the hell else have you been doing?
I know, I couldn't, I just, Kathy comes over today, she says, are we meeting tonight? I said, we sure are. Just
I get
like
that
getting
too.
into that. I actually said to Cheryl, I said, we're gonna go on based on our workshop, that's what we're gonna do.
And,
It's Article 23.
yeah,
Oh, what's our?
So it's thinking about the floodplain ordinance.
So, is that the same one you were gonna ask me?
Yeah, yeah.
Okay. That is pretty much the same thing that we voted on last year. The selectmen just did a resolution to, all the maps are here, the maps numbers, they adopted it. Went back to the planning board and they even though they did the date, we're going to bring it back on the ballot as the official vote to accept it, and that way we're totally in the clear. Because we voted last year to cover us, it wasn't on the ballot. And we didn't have the map revisions, and the selectmen hadn't done the resolution yet. It was just strictly so that the planning board could change the date, was what you did, right?
Yeah, that's pretty much.
So now we're bringing it back. Same exact thing, you'll have a public hearing the same night that we do the warrant and the budget
For that article,
for just that art. The selectmen will hold it right before you guys go into a vote.
Do the FEMA people recommend these changes to you?
Yes, this is all based off from FEMA flood, and if we don't do it, our residents can't get flood insurance, correct?
Well, it's a reduced rate
Oh,
that they're
okay,
getting, so. I think-
Yeah, just sorry as I'm asking, it's from a surveying point of view, this thing about changing the NGDB to mean sea level doesn't make any sense, but
this is all,
that's
this
what they
is
want
what
to do.
they gave us for wording.
Okay.
Right, well, this came from the planning board, so whatever they were given from wording last year is what we're going on. I think so. You can maybe send, well, you sent this out to, them for the hearing, right?
Yeah.
Maybe just
It
a
will.
It's gonna be a boring town meeting.
Yeah, there's nothing
There's
interesting.
nothing exciting going on.
Oh, don't you worry, we'll fight over
Somebody's
something.
find something.
About
I know there's no chickens, there's no, what else, drug testing, there's no. It's been a while since Ken's lined up the cops.
I have a question that has nothing to do with this. Every few years, Ken will say, does anyone want to, discuss zoning? Do
Mhm.
we want to talk about having zoning next year? I keep hearing people talk about it because of the
Airbnbs.
between the Airbnbs and the whole gun range thing. And now the new trailer park. Has anyone said anything to you?
We haven't heard a word.
Just leave it alone.
Somebody
We
would have
had
to
the
put in
public
a
hearing.
petition, right?
What's that?
Well, planning, it would have to go to the planning board and then the planning.
Well,
board
usually
would
what
have-
we do is like every 3 or 4 years, he'd say, oh, somebody has mentioned this again, so next year,
Which he
would you
did.
like it to be? A thing that we do, that we create a committee to think about zoning again, and every year. There's a little bit of, every time it happens, there's a bit of a back and forth, yeah, we should have zoning.
Mhm.
And then when Bill was alive, he would always get up and explain why we don't have zoning in
Mhm.
Woodstock and convince everybody it's a bad idea, and then it
Right.
all just would die.
What we did, the last time he brought it up. It was, most of the people at town meeting,
Right before COVID.
right before COVID.
Yeah, yeah.
Wanted it.
Mhm.
We opened up town hall, we had a public hearing on
That's
it,
right.
Yeah.
and everybody that showed up. Was against it,
Oh, okay.
because it is quite a feat to take on, and it has been taken on. It's a good 80+ hours to prepare something to go to town meeting, and you have to hire people to help you. And so they really wanted to make sure, because they had done this 2 or 3 times, they had put all the work into it. It got there and it got voted down. So instead of doing that ahead of time, they held the public hearing to make sure and to get input to see what they were looking for. So they could focus in and hone on that, and everybody that showed up didn't want it. There was very few people there were you there, Steve? Yeah, so they didn't proceed with it.
So like Lincoln is tackling Airbnb and VRBOs with
Yeah, but they-
something.
They
No,
gave
they
They gave up?
Yes,
that Airbnb thing, I don't know how much you guys know about this, but trying to stop that from coming into your town is just about impossible.
Well, and the horses already
Just
have
about
a barn,
impossible.
Yeah.
so what are you gonna do?
Anybody that already would be on it would be grandfathered, I would
Exactly, yeah.
assume.
Yeah,
Exactly.
I
I
think
mean, other towns have
But
tried and
we're
they've
looking
lost. and
better.
Yeah.
it's Just,
the only benefit you would see with zoning right now, I think in the town of Woodstock would be to disencourage any more like housing on Main Street. So that something like if all of a sudden where the post office and the liquor store and that is, all of a sudden, if that went up for sale, someone buying that and putting it.
Turn to apartments or
Or
whatever, yeah.
apartments,
Yeah.
or, you know, maybe the old Hilliard's candy, like,
Yeah.
Because we don't
that,
have a lot of stuff.
that's kind of the stuff that that you would wanna consider maybe a basic
Right,
form of zoning.
but once you start zoning, that opens up that Pandora's box,
It
right?
does.
Where you,
You really wanna forward that kind of.
Well, you actually have to hire people, you know,
Yeah.
it's a cost, it's gonna be a cost to the town, you'll
And
have
then
a
you have to
zoning
create
office,
zoning
you're
on
gonna have
every
a
little
zoning
thing.
board, you're gonna have.
Does Lincoln have a zoning board?
Yes.
Oh, yeah.
So
But
you-
they don't have a
you're-
zoning ordinance, they have a land use ordinance, because they didn't wanna call it zoning. That's what it is.
You know.
Yeah.
To that, I mean, I think we have talked and we're going to find a way to meet. To get short terms to register with us just because of the compliance issue, the occupancy, the safety side of it, you know, and have them.
And
We'll
that's,
recoup the cost of doing that through them, but
right, and that's an ordinance we can kind of do
without zoning, right?
without a, right?
well, we don't know that we're gonna revisit that
revisit
report,
it, yeah.
right? Scott seems to think she said yes, we weren't sure, so,
Right.
and it's been a while.
Right. But we've taken we've got some models from community.
Oh, and also, if there's police, if the police have to go there, they know who the owner is and can
Right.
call them
Mhm.
and say, look, this is what's happening.
I mean, I don't think, we don't have as much of that as Lincoln, maybe we don't have as many. But it's just still be good, I mean, I know the place across. the
You'd
street
be
from my
surprised
mother's,
how many there
Yeah.
are, our neighborhood has quite a
well,
few.
we have quite a few, we're not, what I'm saying is we don't have the problems police wise with.
Oh,
that
like Lincoln
others-
issues. with
Well,
them.
yeah.
Yes, we
All the
have,
ones on the mountain with parking and
But-
everything. so-
yes, I know, oh God, I know we have a ton of them here, it's just that I don't think we've seen,
Mm.
we have some.
Yeah.
But the biggest thing is you drive by them and there's so many cars in there, they're coming out into the road and you know.
Was it somebody said
There's too many people.
There's
too
it
many
should
people,
be,
yeah.
that there should be a tax break for people who live in their homes and don't rent them, that are year-round residents. If you are buying a house and you're leasing it out, I forget what they called it, Aaron Fadden brought it.
Yeah,
He talked to me about,
yeah,
do you know what I'm
no,
talking
Aaron
about?
talked to me about that.
I do like the fact that they have to pay room and meals tax and our, you know, our revenue has gone up substantially from that, so at least we're getting something.
Right,
But, you know,
are they required to let you know that they're an Airbnb?
not right now, but
Not
I
right
think
now.
but we're working on that.
But see, Airbnb keeps the taxes and pays it. The person doesn't pay the room and meals tax. It's all done through Airbnb. They pay, they keep the tax and they pay the Department of Revenue.
And VRBO, is that what it is?
VRBO.
Anything that they're registered with like that.
But if they're renting it on their own.
We don't know. But I think the majority of them are using that, right?
Use an agency, yeah.
I mean, our neighborhood's like a ghost town up there.
Oh, yeah.
Except for our street.
All of them are.
I don't know that we're having big problems, only one. And that's not even an Airbnb. So there's,
If you look at the owners of properties, you know, like in Lincoln especially,
like,
all those streets, they're all out of state people, most of
Right,
them.
so they don't even know what's
It's
happening, they don't even care,
Yeah.
Yeah,
yeah.
it's no local.
well, it's hard,
Right.
like, you try to trick or treat up on the hill.
Right.
And most of the houses are dark
Good.
because,
Well, same thing on School and Church Street,
Right.
used to be that way and now it's
Right.
not, you
Right,
know,
the neighborhood is,
not the neighborhood it
community
used to be.
neighborhood, I think is. But we had, between my kids and the kids that are there now, there was not even kids up there for a long time, so. It's nice to have that.
But then you have the people that aren't familiar with the neighborhood and they're going crazy up the back road. to
Right.
scoot around.
Right.
It's like,
You should hear my husband, he's like a madman. out
we
there.
all have signs that have kids, we're like, slow down, kids that play, aside from
He gets,
putting the little head person in the middle of the
you
road.
know, some of it is, it's those, and I'm not familiar with them, is Waze or something, or Google Maps or
Yeah.
whatever my kids tell me that tell them to come up over and bypass Main Street and
Yeah.
bypass like
Oh, yeah.
Lincoln. So they're coming down Pollard Road and they're coming up over Wayne's Market, flying down the hill and catching on the other way. I'm like, you're kidding me.
Yeah.
Mm.
That's what happened at Loon one of those times that they sent everybody to go down South Peak and they couldn't because the gate was there and they all got stuck. It was like a major.
Well, and also,
Oh, it was
latest
crazy.
a couple of weeks ago, it was backed up all Pollard Road.
Mm.
Because Waze was sending them there to avoid,
Yeah,
I
that's
mean,
what,
they should do something like local traffic only. You know, something like
People aren't
that.
gonna pay attention to that.
I would just like a flashing, I would like one of those flashing signs.
Hmm.
That up
They
there.
wanted
and
to do that.
Maybe
in
a cop
Lincoln.
sit up.
And the state, remember Tanningham telling me, the state. How did she put that? The state told them, we can't tell you you can't do it, but we advise you not to. It was something about, because the state's already got an issue with Main Street, and if you don't let the traffic disperse elsewhere, then we're gonna come in and we're gonna blow out all the parking on Main Street in Lincoln, and it's just gonna be a four-lane highway.
That was a couple of years ago, wasn't it?
Yeah,
Yeah.
so that's
They
why
avoid
Pollard
that
Road
place at
doesn't
all
have
costs.
signs like that, because the state told the selectmen in Lincoln that they shouldn't do it because of it. Yeah.
It's crazy.
People were just. trying to get around it.
They need a 5 minutes.
They do, it's awful up there.
Well, there originally was one planned to go off of exit, before exit 32, right?
Yep.
Mhm.
And it was just gonna take them
Big
straight
talk
over
now.
the loon and they wouldn't go through town.
Mhm.
But the argument was, if you don't make it
Lose
go through
business.
town, then none of the businesses get any.
But they're still gonna
They
get
don't get
business.
the revenue.
People
But
gotta eat.
how
and buy
There's
stuff.
nothing up at Loon, we're
Approving
gonna have to come in
all
now.
of this stuff.
You think they're gonna
Well,
do
as
something?
OJ says,
Because
Lincoln is no longer a town, it's just a giant hotel.
But they keep getting permits to do it.
Yeah,
I mean, every time a hotel goes, they need a state permit.
Hmm.
At what point do they say,
I don't know.
I don't even know where they, I mean, they're finding staff apparently, huh?
No, I don't know where they're getting staff to
Much.
pay all these places. Yeah.
maybe
And
they're.
then,
putting
then not
money
to mention the water and sewer.
Do we wanna look at the draft MS 737 or just leave it till next week, cause it's gonna change?
It is gonna change, but you can just see.
I think it's a good opportunity to familiarize yourselves with it for some that are new. For next week.
Cause this is what we vote off of, Marcy.
Right.
Okay.
Everybody here that's here can make it next week, correct? No foreseeable.
Yeah, it's Wednesday.
So that
right?
gives you-
Yeah, we're not
yeah.
changing,
Yeah,
Here, right?
yeah.
Okay.
No, that's right, it's gonna be a long one. Of course it is.
Well, it's gonna be just you guys.
Yeah,
You
but-
guys are just gonna vote.
No public.
No
Next
public, well,
week's
they
not
can show up,
public?
no,
Well, next week's not public. We vote the week before public.
Oh,
And then
okay.
public, we
The
open the
seventh.
meeting, and if no one's here, we sit here for 15 minutes.
Oh, that's right.
Right.
Okay.
And then
And then
you
we leave.
vote on the large, the full
just
the
amount.
full
Yeah.
amount, that's
So it's
Just
just
at the bottom.
Yeah. I'm distracted.
Well,
because of going
next
to-
week is long.
leaving
Right,
Wednesday
next
night
week.
is
but
Wednesday, leaving
February
Saturday,
7th
coming back
is not.
Wednesday morning, the
Oh,
following week, so I
yeah.
don't miss the meeting.
Any questions?
really be the only one she's gonna,
That comes to the end of the meeting. Do I have a motion to adjourn? Do I have a second?
Second.
All those in favor say aye. Aye.
Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you.
How was that turnout?
yeah, over 50%, 170 voters,
So that's very usual.
average,
Yeah.
I didn't wait on for president.
Yeah.
Yep. It was working,
Yeah.
only 105 Democrat voters.
That's because all the